got Republicans taking over the Senate. We got what is being described by some as a 100-year majority of Republicans in the House of Representatives. What could possibly go wrong? This is a time to celebrate, a time to be happy. Right, Lanny Davis?
You know what the 5 stages of grief are? So first is denial, then is anger. I forget what the last 3 are. But,
anger, denial, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
I am warning the Republicans, don't be too happy.
All right, so are you in anger, denial, bargaining, depression, or acceptance?
I mean, you might as well just get to acceptance.
Whenever I'm on this program, I'm usually in, let's say, one of those 5.
Yes, I'm sure.
No. This is a serious, I'm usually joking with you guys most of the time, but I am pretty serious. The Democratic Party has a very serious problem, and so does the Republican Party. And if you ask most people in the country, they would say this is a rejection of Washington, both parties, but certainly President Obama.
Which Republican got rejected?
Well, the Republican members of Congress have a lower approval rating.
No, I'm talking about the election.
The Democrats, Congress. The Republicans in Congress were rejected by the American people.
But they won.
Having more incumbents up, suffered more. Everyone is being rejected.
Well, hold it.
In Washington.
Hold it. Lanny, that's simply not true. That's simply not true because in the House of Representatives, we picked up like 14, 15 seats. We may have even more as it goes along. And Republicans lost 1 seat in the House of Representatives.
And no Republican running for re-election lost in the Senate.
I want to be clear. The Democrats suffered a defeat, and I was going to try to tell you what needs to happen from here.
All right.
But if you go back in American history, the last time that a second-term president in midterms did not lose seats in the House of Representatives was 1822 James Monroe. Now, there might have been one other since James Monroe. I was looking last night. So it is pretty usual in an midterm election in a second-term presidency to lose seats. But having said that, the Democrats suffered a serious defeat, and it'd be good today for us to talk about my reality, which is what do Democrats do, but I do think the Republicans should be careful about celebrating because they have a challenge that the American people expect.
Let's go there. What should Democrats do?
They should start out with the question, and this is Senator Reid, who has to do some soul-searching, as well as Barack Obama. Not what do we want, but what do you want that we can work with? And for at least 6 years, I've looked for President Obama to start out a sentence with Speaker Boehner. What can we do together where we can work together? And he tried that in the grand bargain and did it as good a job as he could. That was the real first time that he did it, and it didn't work. But now he's got to do it and got to mean it, and the Democratic leadership, especially in the Senate, has to stop bottling up bills. Let there be up and down votes the way we demanded when the Democrats were in the minority. Now they're in the minority. All of a sudden, up and down votes are going to be in vogue in the Democratic caucus. We've got to work with the Republicans and find compromises to get legislation passed on the most pressing problems of the country.
But it doesn't sound like the president got the message. I mean, as they say, denial, it's not just a river in Egypt. He seemed to be detached and in denial, and he said, look, I'm going to do some things that the Congress is not going to like. In other words, he's going to do things through executive action, and he says that's natural. That's the way democracy works.
Well, there's a compromise between what he wants to do and what the Republicans want to do, and that's there are people in the Congress who are adults on the Republican side: Orrin Hatch, Lindsey Graham, John McCain, Senator Corker, Senator Burr. You would be amazed, and I'm not amazed because I know these men, conservative, very, very strong Republicans who want to work with President Obama. And Mitch McConnell was at his very best.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty hopeful on what I'm hearing from the Republicans.
I don't disagree.
I would have liked President Obama to be more forthcoming. That I've learned. He did say, I heard the American people, he did say, I want to work with Republicans. They are meeting on Friday. So I have some hope, but I really hope that he is ready to make the compromises necessary to work with Republicans.
I'll bet you $1 to a donut that the Republicans come out of there and say, we saw no real willingness to compromise. I'll bet you $100 bucks.
The Republicans got some hardline people who like to say things like that, and then we go back to the very dysfunction and paralysis that the American people, and all the polls say this. I'm surprised you guys disagree with me. I'm not denying the Democrats suffered a serious defeat, but I think the polls show that this was a vote against dysfunction and gridlock in Washington, and both sides need to work together.
Lanny, let me ask you this, because Rand Paul, senator from Kentucky, many people think that he's going to be running for president. His social media team put together a series of internet memes. You know what memes are, right? Where they put together a picture with a little message, and they go viral. These are going viral, and it uses a hashtag called #Hillary's Losers. And it's a picture of Hillary Clinton on the stump, big smile on her face, raising her hands in victory, with all of the candidates who went down to crushing defeat on Tuesday. And obviously the point he's making is Hillary is a poison pill out there and not an effective campaigner. Do you think that this is going to damage Hillary Clinton's chances in 2016?
Well, no, of course not. Nobody who has any logic blames Hillary Clinton for a vote against Barack Obama. But here's the issue. Rand Paul is two Rand Pauls. On one side, I'm incredibly impressed with a man who's talking about going into minority communities, who has some very really thoughtful ideas and is ready to run against the grain of the far right of his party. I've been impressed with him. I wrote a column about him several years ago, and with his dad, when he was running for president, called me to thank me. That's one Rand Paul. The other Rand Paul is nasty, not believable. Nobody in the country is going to think that Hillary Clinton was on the ballot and that defeats of people in Kentucky or wherever she campaigned is a vote against Hillary Clinton.
Two quick things.
All he's doing is partisan, nasty sniping that nobody believes that hurts.
Lanny, let me ask you,
Rand Paul, that I really admire.
Let me ask you two really quick things. You just said that nobody's going to blame Hillary for a vote against Barack Obama. I thought you said this was a vote against dysfunction in Washington. Was this a vote against Barack Obama?
Saying, guys, this is a time where we really are, certainly I am. I don't know about you guys yet, acknowledging that Barack Obama, and I think unfairly, was on the ballot in many states, and Democrats trying to run away from him was a mistake.
All right.
Because he is our president. But there's no question that voters in many, many states, I could go through many of the ones we lost, were voting against what they consider to be disappointing non-leadership by Barack Obama.
All right, Lanny.
All right, we got to leave it right there.
Thank you, Lanny.
We do agree with you on that.